Welcome to Sons of a Gun, a podcast about the DC Universe. I'm Alex Gunn.
I'm Justin Gunn.
I'm Pete.
And we are going to be talking about our celebrity dad's new movie trailer. We can't say who he is because of legal reasons, but it's Superman, directed and written by James Gunn. People have been waiting a very long time for this. We certainly have here on our dedicated DCU podcast. And finally,
this podcast is making a lot more sense now. You know what I mean?
Than it was for the past year and a half, where we were like, I don't know what we're doing, man.
That's what we call runway, and we love it.
So today, as we are taping the first teaser trailer for Superman, coming out July 11th, 2025, was released. It is chock full of a ton of stuff. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about impressions. Pete, I'm curious to hear from you because you said you went on a roller coaster ride watching this. And by the way, we'll assume everybody has already watched the trailer, so we don't need to go beat by beat. But Pete, what was this roller coaster about?
Well, first, I was kind of just like, a couple days ago we taped and you talked about the poster came out and people were losing their minds, right? So then I looked at the poster and I kind of went on this little journey with myself where I was just kind of like, how many times are we going to fucking remake Superman? Is this really what we're doing? Like we can't get a different kind of movie. We're just going to keep getting fucking Superman all over again. And then I sit down to watch this thing and I'm like, look at that fucking, looks like he's got shoulder pads. What the fuck is that?
Oh, look at that guy. What a loser in the snow.
And then by the end of it, I'm like, I can't wait to see this movie. I was like, they showed Lois. I was like, that's not my fucking Lois. Whose fucking Lois is that? And then they like kiss and I was like, this is the best Superman ever. I completely 180'd. I was an old curmudgeon and then I was just kind of like so excited about life by the end of it. I can't wait to see this movie.
I bet I could pinpoint when your curmudgeon turn happened. Is it the instant Krypto showed up?
No, I was kind of like surprised by that type of dog, because that's not the Krypto we've seen in comics, but it's a little smaller, cuter, more Toto-y kind of dog than the
You were down on the dog?
I wasn't.
You hate that dog?
Yeah, it wasn't until later then.
Well, apparently, I might be getting some of the details wrong here, but James Gunn wasn't planning on putting Krypto in it until he adopted a dog who is called very lovingly like a total jerk of a dog who rips up everything in the house. It's a, what's the word for a dog that was on the street that you adopt?
Oh.
No.
Orphan. Is it orphan, Alex?
I wanted to say foundling, but it's
kidnapped a dog, or they just
like
stole
it was a
from
dog on the street. It got to the shelter.
Crime dog.
It's a crime dog. It's
A McGruff. That's
it's a
what I was
McGruff situation. He was just wearing a trench coat.
Do you mean stray? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I don't know.
A save dog, where they adopted the dog from like a kennel.
Rescue dog.
Rescue dog.
There it is,
That's
rescue
it.
dog.
There you go. Very appropriate for
how
Krypto,
many
Superman.
white dudes does it take
Hey
to
man,
come up
this
with
is
that?
this is son of a dog. All right, it's son of a gun. Okay,
Wow,
we
that
know what
was-
we know about, and it's not dogs, or at least
If you're still listening, thank you. Sorry about that.
Anyway, he felt like this would be such an interesting dynamic for Superman, and apparently that's what plays out of the movie. That Krypto is not like, he's the best boy, what a good dog. He's kind of the dog that, rips up the Fortress of Solitude. So
Don't ruin this movie for me. I was excited about it at
all
the
I'm
trailer,
saying
and
is,
now
like,
you're like, it's
that's
a Krypto
why
movie.
that's
Fuck
why
everything
he's
you
a
thought.
scrappy dog instead of the clean-cut dog that you usually expect from the comics.
It wasn't the length of the fur that upset me. It's just a different size dog. This is a smaller, cuter dog, where it's in the comics, it's a bigger dog.
Comic Book Club's Titanic take on the Superman trailer. Dog too scruffy.
Well, I was excited.
Harumph.
We got Hawk Girl in there. Guy Gardner's looks like a douchebag. That made me very excited. And Mr. Terrific looks great.
Yeah, there's a lot of and I thought this was great top to bottom. Like, James Gunn is coming with a big statement, and trailer's the first statement you can make about your movie, and this movie is the launch of 1 million ships. So there's a lot here, and He starts small, starts on Superman, and then just slowly widens the aperture here, and we get Krypto. Then we get all these other heroes that you listed. We get some villains. We get Luther.
Yeah.
Then we get the romance. Like, it just builds to such a nice crescendo that is, but never takes its focus off Superman. Because I feel like the risk with a movie like this where, like, let's take the Flash movie as a comp. That felt instantly that it wasn't about the Flash, because there was all this other story that was weighing on, and it felt like the Flash was just sort of lost in the mix of this multiversal story. This is like, it's huge. The fact that we get all these heroes in here is big. It's bigger. It's big as Justice League. It could be size of the story wise, but it still feels directly like a Superman movie through this entire trailer. I think.
Well, and let me throw out a movie where it really worked where they did that was Black Adam, and we all loved that when they had Black Adam, and then they had all of these other superhero characters who are pre-existing, and that worked out great for everybody.
Yeah, and Superman, in fact, in the end, and that's
and
our
that panned
Superman,
out as
right?
well, I believe. Yeah,
Yes,
I think
definitely panned out is what happened. They definitely panned out.
Yeah, that is not even my strong worry, because if anything, James Gunn is probably better at team stuff at this point than he
traditionally,
is even than like singular hero stuff. But there's a lot going on here. There is a lot of different characters, and I agree with you, Pete. Psyched to see Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, that bowl cut and everything.
Oh my God,
he looks
so
way
funny.
crazier than I could have ever expected.
I'm so
He
happy
looks
with
wild.
that choice. Like, lean into the fact that he's a douchebag, own it, and make it. It's just
and we don't get a lot of Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl, but they put the right shot in here with pulling out the mace and flying towards the camera. That's great. The one who, not necessarily the most time, but made the biggest impression on me, and apparently he's almost like the third ranked character in terms of like importance of the movie, is Edie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific. And that costume looked real good. I love the shot of, it looked like him saving Lois Lane with his T-spheres while whatever that army was attacked. That was very cool. All good stuff. Oh, and there was
straight
don't
out of
forget,
the comic.
big, quick, weird shot of Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho as well.
Yeah, Metamorpho, which was a weird choice. Where I was like, what?
Great character to be in here, because James, these are your Guardians style characters from the DC universe to put in here, and I love the mix and match. I think James Gunn is very good at pulling these characters right when he needs them. But I thought it was interesting. The camera, like you said, Alex, really lingers on Mr. Terrific of any of these characters. Almost as much as Lois Lane. We see Lois more, but we really look at Mr. Terrific in a way I didn't expect.
And talking about Lois, the Daily Planet, I loved starting with that. The Daily Planet looks great. It looks like a real busy working newsroom. I loved everybody that just opening up with Clark walking down the street, seeing a coworker being like, whatever he was saying, because we didn't hear it, but being like, oh, hey, did you see that thing on the news? They go inside, getting the busy, like, Lois Lane is there. There's a quick shot of Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen in the foreground, Beck Bennett as Sam Lombard? Is that the sports reporter?
Yeah, I think so. Not someone who pops to the top of my mind at the time.
Whatever it is.
I'm hoping we don't get a lot of Jimmy either.
Oh, no.
Well, you
he
don't
looks
like
perfect.
Jimmy?
What?
No way,
Everybody loves Jimmy.
Do you
That's
not like
true.
Superman?
Superman's all right. It's
here we
when
go.
done
Wow.
well.
What?
I mean, it's not one of my favorite characters.
Wow. Okay, I wonder if this movie's going to get you, Pete, because you're a hard nut. I mean that across the board, not just about this topic.
I don't know what you mean by that, but all right.
But talking about the Lois stuff, and I know Pete called this out already, but that to me was the really standout stuff. All just like
It's gotta be. If you don't have a good Lois and Clark, then what are we even doing here?
100% agree with you on that. And it really, I love the idea that it seems like they're already in it. They're already in the romance. She already clearly knows that he's Superman and Clark Kent, but there's still tension there, like that quick shot.
What, you got all that from the trailer?
Potentially, I don't know.
Yeah.
James Gunn has said that it is a very different relationship for Lois and Clark than we've ever seen before on screen.
That's scary.
Said he was very hesitant to say that, but he really feels that that's true. And then also,
sorry, just on that,
Yeah.
what do you think that means?
Yeah, you think they're
What's
just
your
boss
take on that?
and employee? There's no love connection at all. You think it's all profesh?
I don't know. I don't know what that could be because like Lois always calls Clark on everything and isn't afraid to do that. It's a very equal relationship. So I'm not sure what could be new there. I'm not
Well,
sure.
let me say this. I feel like, what if it's them like pretty together? What if it's their life they
Or
live
they're
together?
split up? What if they're on a break?
But we've
it's a
seen that
Ross and
before.
Rachel
I mean, there
situation.
was
Not really on screen though. I
Lois
feel
and
like
Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Superman and Lois.
Yeah, but
Even
I think
also in
that's
like,
Small
TV.
T-
though.
yeah, that's
the Henry
TV.
Cavill movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, but we haven't. To me, it's always about
Christopher
them
Reeve
getting
movies,
together.
all of them have them together.
But it's always about. It's a more of a like stormy romance, I guess I would say, and to have them be like in the comics have been for the last 15, 20 years, them sort of together. Maybe that's a difference maker.
Yeah, I don't know. Could be him vulnerable and talking about superhero stuff with her potentially. That's something that I don't.
Oh,
think
like
we've
he's
seen.
honest right up front, or he just lays it all out, and he doesn't like lie to
Well,
her.
there just looks like a couple of scenes. This is pure speculation, but it certainly looks like there's that scene of the glowing thing over Metropolis that I think is probably Solaris, the rogue son from DC 1 Million and All-Star Superman.
Yeah.
And there might
You
just
see a lens glare, and you think it's Solaris, bro? Come on.
I think
No, I
it's
think it
hilarious.
is.
I think it
I think
is.
it is, too.
There's a couple of other things, not to jump all over the place. There's a couple of other things that look like they're straight out of All Star Superman there.
Yeah.
There's one shot, the shot where he's holding the robot that seemingly died. That robot, immediately I was like, oh, it's Kellex, the robot butler for the Fortress of Solitude. I don't think it is because I looked at it closer. The robot has a blue cape under it, and the design of the Superman robots from All Star Superman by Frank Quitely, they have blue capes instead of Superman's red cape. So I think that's Superman robots. I think we're going to get some other stuff potentially from All Star Superman as well in there.
I think that's going to be a sort of loom large over this movie, and that's another reason why I feel like Clark and Lois will be more settled in their relationship.
Superpowers? That's something from All Star Superman. Maybe we've never seen that before. Them both having superpowers. There's that one
in the
issue of All
comics,
Star
though.
Superman where she gets powers for a day.
And that is currently in the comics.
Yeah, it's currently in the comics.
But I don't know. That feels like a big swing to do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm starting to get worried about. If all these Easter eggs are true, we're now doing a lot of heavy lifting in one movie, bro.
Yeah.
Well, but like I don't think they're all true. I think the story elements we're talking about are what's going to happen. But we're
We still got to
speculating a
get
lot.
Guy Gardner, like all these characters got to have time, and then
I
you're going to
think-
throw
but they're-
Metamorpho in.
But here's the thing that I think that he's very smartly doing is this doesn't seem to be exactly an origin story so much as a origin story of the tone of the universe. These heroes, we don't know if they're called the Authority necessarily, probably not called Justice League International, but whatever they are, they're already
Who's
there.
talking like Midnighter and that would be unbelievable.
Well, the engineer is also in the movie, and there is, I will mention, there's the shot of the Luther Core logo,
Right.
that's sort of far away. There's somebody who's very silvery and metallic looking, super, super tiny, who's sneaking into the building from the top, and I think that's the one shot of the engineer there. But
I was
my
gonna
guess
say
is that he's
Steel.
doing like the tone of the Authority, but with mostly Justice League International and JSA characters. Basically, the characters who are like angry, who are jerks most of the time.
Well,
altogether.
and
Also
so
could have been the robot.
So on that, I feel like that's where this is going to be a Superman movie, and also James Gunn's statement on what a Superman movie is. Like Superman always shines when he is up against other heroes and villains. Like we need to see him shine better. Him alone in an empty universe of superheroics, it's always about the, oh my God, what's that? And we've seen that a million times. And I think what James Gunn is showing is like an actual hero is someone who does the right thing against the odds, and the odds have to be stacked. And he has to be amongst people that are equally powerful, both on the good and evil side. So I feel like that is what he's doing here, and that's what All-Star Superman did really well. has showed why Superman was Superman against the most insane canvas of all time.
Well,
and the story will be very much in progress, I think, as opposed to starting at zero. Another thing that I think is so Superman.
Well, that would be smart, I think, if they did, as you guys are saying, like started as kind of in the middle instead of another origin story, because I think we all know or Superman's origin story at this point. But my Superman is Superman when he's at a diner and holds back from using his powers and then lightly pushes a guy, but he goes flying across the whole countertop.
My Superman is very
Just
similar,
very
but
specific.
he doesn't push the guy at the diner. He goes outside and destroys the guy's truck with a bunch of logs, just jams them in there. That guy's whole livelihood, driving the truck, gone in an instant.
Yeah.
And that's Superman to me.
Yeah, exactly.
What about
That's
the person who, after he spun the chair and they go all the way up and down, has got to come in and fix that chair the next day? You know what I mean?
My
sorry.
Superman is
What
the
are you
guy.
guys
Well, stop. A couple of other things I noticed in the trailer. There is this running thing of this country, Bavia, that was introduced in Superman #2 from 1939. In the comics, it's basically like European country, and that's pretty much it, just one of those things. Here, it does not seem to be European necessarily. We certainly heard in advance that it was maybe a Middle Eastern country, which seems like a very touchy mistake, and but I guess we'll see what happens. But in the Daily Planet thing, the headline is Hammer of Bavia creates havoc downtown, and there's sort of like a big beefy something on there, so I wonder if that's going to be initial action sequence.
Maybe
And then-
it's absolute Batman, where it's
well,
all
and later
beefy.
on, the kid who's holding up the flag, who calls for Superman, which I thought was my favorite scene in the trailer, is from Bavia as well. You see that on the news footage as well. So that seems like that's going to be a central location.
Get it? Bravia, because Superman's so brave.
Pete's on it.
Yeah. The another shot that I loved, including, it's such a little thing, but a shot of Superman saving a little girl from that giant monster.
Oh, yeah, that was
Slow-mo.
awesome.
That was great. That, to me, actually, no joking aside, that is Superman, and that's to straight up slam somebody. Zack Snyder being like, why would you want to see Superman save a cat from a tree? I want to see Superman save a cat from a tree. I want him to be like, we got to save everybody. That little girl there is trouble. I got to save her. Then I got to fly up here and save those people. That is my primary objective, not winning this fight. It's protecting as many people as possible.
I want him to save a tree from a cat.
Oh, yeah.
Trees always be
what's
coming
up?
for cats. We haven't talked about Lex Luthor
The
much.
Lorax up in this motherfucker. What's up?
Yeah, exactly.
I very
Speak for the
briefly saw him, but I thought
Speak for
Nicholas
the
Holt
trees.
already made a great impression as Lex Luthor.
Nicholas Holt's having just a run right now. And Nosferatu's coming. He's a huge part in that. Like, he's just, what a couple of years for him. And, he looks strange with no hair in the same way that the previous Luthors, I feel like, have all looked that way. Gene Hackman is the only one where I'm like, okay, that's what Lex Luthor is. But that's just old brain talking.
The Hackman, dude.
I appreciate him not having hair. I feel like there's been too much push, particularly in the TV direction, to be like, let's explain why he lost his hair, or he mostly has hair, and then later
agree.
Just have him
who
bald.
cares?
The need to explain why a man lost his hair, I'm like, go walk around. Like, you don't need to. There's no mystery.
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me?
You have to tell
what
me.
happened? It's like
So,
the
like,
first
yes,
thing somebody
it doesn't
does
have
every
to be
time they
that.
meet a bald person. They're like, I gotta know.
What did
you
it have to
a
do with
villain?
Granny's peach tea? Tell me real quick. Another.
But while we're talking visuals, like, I thought this trailer, especially if it is an indication of how the movie looks, like, we're so much closer to the characters than so many superhero movies, just from just many close-ups, and I love that. It feels like a much more intimate portrayal of all of these characters, not just Superman and Lois, but like everyone. We're like up close with them. We're seeing a little bit more of their world from their point of view, and that is also a big difference maker here, I think.
Yeah, and also to old man out a little bit. The shots are brighter. There's no dark, like, can't see what's going on in the fight. It's very well lit and bright.
I don't think that's old man. I mean, I hear you, but legitimately, too many movies are shot too dark, mostly to obscure action that they're not conveying
CGI.
properly.
Bad
yeah,
CGI.
bad CGI. And the fact that this is all brightly lit and they are showing it off, and to Justin's point, the shots are interesting and there's depth to them. That's great.
They're composed. They're not just
Yeah.
like shoot it wide so we can put the thing in later.
Yeah, put everybody in the middle so that it's properly cropped for TikTok, for the TikTok trailer.
Exactly.
A couple of other things to mention as I'm kind of working through some notes here. There's a scene where Superman breaks out of a glass prison that I thought was interesting. It seems like some people are shining lights on him. This is so much supposition, but I feel like it's Superman got weakened by Lex Luthor or something, and people are shining lights, and maybe it's like sunlights to give him back his powers. I don't know. The place that he goes after the guy throws the can at his head is Stagg Industries. Simon Stagg, if people don't know, is a businessman in the DC universe. He employs Rex Mason, aka Metamorpho. So that was a cool little thing.
Man, that Can Man really nailed him.
He's got to know better. Come on. Can Man? Can Man. Can Man's got to know better. I do have a question. I wanted to get your theories on this. So there is a quick shot of Superman fighting somebody in the middle of the baseball stadium, the Metropolis Meteors. And there were shots behind the scenes of somebody dressed all in a black suit, completely covering their face with a U on their chest. My guess is that some form of Ultraman, the evil Superman, probably not from Earth 3 like he is in the comic books, but created by Lex Luthor or something like that. But any theories you guys have?
Well, if it's at a baseball game, maybe it's an umpire, and that's why it's got the big U on it.
Good call.
Those guys suck.
What other U words are there?
If you need a villain in a movie, make it an umpire.
Yeah, exactly.
He hates those guys. I mean, that was my thought too. Again, like
The
if you
umpire
want-
or what Alex said?
I'm gonna go with what Alex said.
Oh, dang it. I thought maybe you were on my side. I got excited.
I would love to be proven wrong that the villain above Lex Luthor is an umpire at the local AAA baseball team who's gone rogue.
I called it here first.
But I mean, if you're going to show a bright, shiny Superman, it's great to have the dark side of that. But what's interesting there is like, is this Ultraman going to be basically Zack Snyder's Superman in everything but name?
Somebody hit me up on some social media earlier today being like, what would be the greatest thing is he takes the mask off and it's Henry Cavill, very specifically.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Wow, that would
dude.
be wild.
I don't know if Cavill
Could
would
you
sign up
imagine?
to do that.
Is your mom's name Martha?
Oh,
No!
By the way, do you think Ben Affleck is smiling somewhere because he got a Superman that can bleed? He finally got an answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, that's a question Ben Affleck wakes up with every day.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
What else? Anything else from the trailer or any general thoughts or excitement as we head into Superman season, as I like to call it?
Yeah, the next
Superman
7
season?
months.
Yeah, it's a long ways
7
away.
months.
I'm very excited for it. Our podcast finally has a purpose. That's very exciting. And if you would like to support the show and all the shows we do, patreon.com/comic book club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Superman, except Pete, who's mostly ambivalent about him. Apple, Spotify, Android,
talk
or
about
the
Batman
app
or Wonder
of your
Woman.
choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show Comic Book Club on Blue Sky, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok and Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, Dad, you did it! Hooray! Take us
Now-
home, Dad. Take us home.
Come home. We've been, the same dinner's been on the table for 9 months. You gotta come eat that.